Is there anyone that wants to have an item placed on a future agenda? Nope. Okay. Let's go ahead and do the roll call then. Commissioner Ball.
I'll unmute. I'm here. Hi.
All right. Thanks, Commissioner Ball. Commissioner Billsborough. All right. I think he is absent. Commissioner Garrett.
Here.
All right. Thanks. Commissioner Garrison.
Here.
Oh, okay.
Were you saying Garrity earlier? That's me. I'm here.
I just realized the answer for yes, Commissioner Garrity, yes. So you are here, right?
Yes, I am. Garrity is here.
Okay. And I can see Commissioner Gilbert. Commissioner Larson.
Yep, I'm here.
All right. Commissioner Montero.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. I thought I saw you earlier. I know that Commissioner Nucci is here somewhere. Let's see if he's still on there. Are you here, Commissioner Nucci?
It looks like he's having mic problems.
Okay, that's what I thought. I thought I saw his frame on there earlier. All right, so we're only missing Commissioner Billsborough. All right, let's move on to item number 2, approval of the November 18, 2020 meeting minutes. Has anyone come up with any changes or errors, omissions they'd like to note? No? All right. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the November meeting minutes?
Commissioner Montero makes a motion to approve the November meeting minutes.
All right, thank you. And would someone like to make a motion, someone like to second it? I'm sorry.
Commissioner Gilbert will second.
Thank you, Commissioner Gilbert. Let's see, well, I guess we'll have to go through the roll call again. Commissioner Hall?
I need to abstain as I wasn't present at that meeting.
That's what I thought, yes. Commissioner Garrity?
Approve. Aye.
All right. Commissioner Garrison? Commissioner Garrison?
Okay. Aye.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Gilbert?
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Larson?
Muted. Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Montero?
Aye.
And Commissioner Nucci? Are you able to see if he's in favor, Brittany?
I see a thumbs up.
Okay, that works. All right, we have unanimous approval on the meeting minutes. Let's move on to agenda item number 3, request for a certificate of appropriateness regarding the Hayden Butte tanks. And what can you tell us about that, John?
Thank you, Chair Buss. We have representatives of the project team here to include, I believe, Eric Bonds with the City of Tempe. I'm looking down the list here. I know we also have Mark Weber, Jesse Udall, and I believe there may be an additional, Jake Nelson is here as well. So I know Jake Nelson would like to share some brief information with the commission, and then we could review suggested conditions of approval. So Jake, I turn it over to you.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys having us tonight. one thing real quick. I was going to share a PDF of the plans, but my share button's gray here, so I don't know. Is that something that I need
Give
approval
me a
to have?
second and I'll let you share. Hold on.
Okay. All right. I think I'm good now. Okay. So can everybody see my screen here and the butte?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So just a little history. I was just going to give a little summary of the project that we've been working on. First of all, I'll introduce myself. My name's Jake Nelson with Dibble Engineering. We've been working with the city on some of the rehabilitation of the water storage tanks around the city of Tempe. And this project has some history. We did a more thorough rehabilitation a few years back. And as a part of that rehabilitation of these two water storage tanks, we had installed a treatment system for TTHM removal. It was kind of a pilot program at that point in time on the Hayden Butte because there wasn't sufficient power supply to install larger units, and it was kind of a new technology for the city. So since that time, since the original rehabilitation, the treatment system has been used on this and other sites and has been used successfully. As a part of this project, it was time to kind of revisit this site and install a larger treatment system at the site. So what that consists of is, this is just an aerial, but I have our plan set here. So the improvements consist of installing new electrical conductors from the supply at the police station down the hill, up the hill, and then installing new larger motors for the treatment system. And the motors had previously been installed on the top of the tanks. The larger motors the tank doesn't have structural capacity to hold the larger motors, so they would be mounted on the ground. The area, I think everyone's probably familiar with the area, but it had been previously excavated for the installation of the tanks. It's bedrock and it's been disturbed. It's currently delineated by a chain link site fence that keeps the site secure as there are hundreds of visitors per day climbing the mountain and taking advantage of the park facilities here. So part of these improvements was to install new electrical conductors up the hill, which will be accomplished through existing infrastructure. There are conduits running up the hill with existing at-grade junction boxes. And what we're going to do is come in and remove the existing conductors and wires, and through those junction boxes install new conductors. So we're not anticipating any excavation or disturbance of the area and the alignment of the power supply. There's a junction box about midway up the hill that we can access to pull those conductors, and then one towards the bottom of the hill here. So that's as far as anything going off-site. That kind of summarizes the improvements there. As far as on-site, I'll kind of go to another sheet here where we can focus in a little bit on the improvements. So the site fence is kind of muddled up in a lot of the line work here, but you can see the gate here. That's the entrance to the site. So the new improvements will consist of 2 concrete pads adjacent to each of the tanks. and with a blower mounted on them, and then have ductwork running up the tank into a penetration in the top of the tank, and that provides the air changes for the air within the tank. As a part of these concrete pads, there will be a sound attenuating structure built along the edges that'll help reduce any noise that comes from the motors at that point. And then as far as any disturbance of the ground here at and within the site, it would be for the installation of these concrete pads. And then there will need to be some electrical lines run from a box here located at the center to each of the pads. And our plan for that, working with our electrical engineer, is that those conductors are planned to be installed within existing trenches that had been previously dug for electrical equipment. So we'd be scraping off the top, installing some new wires, and then backfilling that with the same material. And that really is a summary of any disturbance or digging that would be happening at this site as a part of this project. As far as the mitigation treatment is concerned, we've coordinated with John and with Chris Garrity as well, and the plan is to perform an ethnographic survey in the area as a part of this area for the Hayden Butte Mountain. And I don't know if Chris or John, if you want to chime in and give any more detail as far as that the ethnographic study goes and the scope of that.
Chair Buss, Jake, thank you. I, at this point, would defer to if the folks from municipal utilities, or if Commissioner Garrity, who is, of course, not acting as a commissioner on this item, has recused himself, if he would like to weigh in, I'll defer to them first.
Yeah, this is Commissioner Garrity. It's pretty, this will constitute a pretty minimal ground disturbance, as you could tell from Jake's introduction. Most of the ground disturbance would occur in and around the tanks, all of which has been heavily disturbed and blown out over the years. Consequently, we didn't think, technically, in compliance with the Arizona Antiquities Act, we would normally have some sort of archaeological monitoring or testing. That we don't think that would be warranted. And so kind of in looking for sort of in the language of Section 106, some creative mitigation, we decided it might be worthwhile to kind of pursue a more of an ethnographic outreach with the local tribes, specifically the Gila River Indian community and the Salt River Indian Maricopa Indian communities, to get a better understanding of the traditional values and the traditional cultural importance of the Butte. I think this is a good context for it. And although technically, it is ground disturbance within a site, I'm fairly certain, and I think John would agree, that the Arizona State Museum, who manages or administers the Arizona Antiquities Act, would be okay with doing the ethnographic work in lieu of archaeological investigation, as long as the tribes, I think they would defer to the tribes on this if the tribes go along with it. John, do you have anything to add to that?
Chair Buss, Commissioner Garrity, that is correct. That is my belief. And the one caveat here, and this is included in the report, is the fact that because this was received beyond the submittal deadline for this meeting, and because this was not a project that I was previously aware of, we have not completed consultation with Salt River or Gila River, and so that's why one of the suggested conditions of approval would make the approval contingent upon Salt River acceptance of the proposed mitigation treatment. But as Commissioner Garrity mentioned, yes, it is believed that first, because of the fact that the tank area is bedrock with imported gravel. Second, because, and I thank Jake Nelson for confirming this for me, the junction boxes for the conduit are at grade. So we clarified that there would not be disturbance there. That conduit trench was excavated and monitored in 1992. ARS did the monitoring. So I have a fair amount of confidence that this proposed mitigation treatment will be acceptable to Salt River. And as part of the suggested condition of approval, written notification of that concurrence would need to be provided to the project team prior to the commencement of work.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Excuse me, sorry, I have a question. So I understand there's impacts to the ground, and that's great. The archival study is a wonderful idea. Yeah, kudos to you for thinking of that. But so you have not discussed this with the tribes yet? Is that correct?
Chair Buss, Commissioner Montero, that excuse me, that is correct. This project was submitted beyond the deadline for submittal, and this is really more consequential. I was not aware of this work prior to the submittal, or being notified just prior to the submittal. So no, at this point, there has not been a formal discussion with the tribes, which is atypical. And
okay.
I'm sure you've noticed, as I mentioned, that the one of the suggested conditions of approval makes this contingent upon their concurrence, but you are correct. We have not yet been able to bring this to them and seek their concurrence in terms of the proposed mitigation treatment.
Okay, so the next steps would be to consult with the tribes and hopefully get their concurrence, and then talk to ASM, because as you suggest, ASM, if it's in a site, they want monitoring times no matter what. So having the tribes agree to your alternate mitigation is going to be really important before talking to State Museum.
Absolutely, and Chair Buss, Commissioner Montero, I'm in agreement, and I have the proposed conditions of approval here on my screen, and the first proposed condition of approval speaks to the issue of tribal concurrence. It's work shall not commence until the Historic Preservation Officer provides the applicant written notice of Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian Community Tribal Historic Preservation Office concurrence with the proposed mitigation treatment. If concurrence is not received, an alternative mitigation treatment must be approved by the Historic Preservation Commission. We also included a proposed condition of approval. Work shall not commence until a representative of the 4 Southern tribes completes a traditional religious activity, should such activity be deemed necessary by the 4 Southern tribes. There's a suggested condition of approval dealing with completing the, sorry, my screen went blank. Dealing with the cultural sensitivity training course, requiring it. If it's determined that ground disturbance, and this is a determination that, of course, as you mentioned, ASM would make, if it is determined that ground disturbance will occur, compliance with the Arizona Antiquities Act is required. In addition to, and this is consistent with what was done when there was the tank rehabilitation project, painted surfaces damaged or otherwise altered during project work, in addition to all new paintable surfaces installed during the course of the project, to be painted PPG paint color chinchilla to match the tanks. And finally, any changes to the plan submitted to the office on January 4th and attached to this report must be reviewed and approved by the Tempe Historic Preservation Officer. So essentially, approval via certificate of no effect.
This is Commissioner Gary. Just just to add on a little bit to what Lauren was saying, I think that the plan is sort of to get the tribes to agree. I'd like to, John and I have spoken, the next opportunity we can to attend the 4 Southern Tribes, was it monthly historic commission? I can't remember what the commission is called, but they're monthly meetings.
Cultural Resources Working Group.
There we go. Could never remember the full name. The next opportunity, we would attend that. And if we get concurrence and agreement from the tribes, then we would go to ASM. And I can't predict entirely what ASM will do, but I am guessing if we can make a clear case that there is minimal or really no disturbance to native soils within the site, as well as agreement from the tribes to do the ethnographic outreach in lieu of the archaeological monitoring, I don't think they would disagree with that. I think they would go along with it.
I have a
Okay.
question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair Buss, if I may.
Yes.
To follow Commissioner Montero's question, I guess for Jake and Chris as members of the project team, and also for John, can you give us a feel for whether delaying or waiting for feedback from the tribe is problematic to time frame or cost to the city on this project?
Jake or
I
perhaps
can
Eric or Mark, would you like to address that?
John, John, this is Alex. I can take that, and maybe on behalf of Mark Weber, Commissioner Ball and commissioners, I think that if we could move forward now, that would be best for the city. I think that John has worked on a creative solution, and the engineers are obviously itching to get this project completed. So if we could move forward now with John's suggested conditions, I think that would be the best outcome. You know, what John hasn't mentioned is that the Butte has long needed an ethnographic study, and we've recently completed one for Bell Butte, and this study would sort of round out the most prominent landforms in Tempe with ethnographic studies. So staff is supportive of moving forward with John's conditions.
And this is creative mitigation in the sense that there will be disturbance to the Butte, there will be damage to the Butte. The Butte is a traditional cultural property. This study would help us to better understand its significance and could be used as a tool when planning future projects for maximizing avoidance and minimizing disturbance.
Okay, thanks, folks.
This is Commissioner Gary. I think one of my questions was already answered. It was about the new sound barrier walls, that it sounds like they'll be painted the same color as the tanks. Is that correct?
Chair Buss, I'll take this one. I did confirm with Eric Bonds with the city that the sound attenuation walls can be painted. And so that's why the suggested condition of approval includes the language referring to all newly installed paintable surfaces, which would include the sound attenuation walls.
Right, I was assuming that. And what about the electrical going up the hill? Is there already space in the conduit that's existing to accommodate any new wiring you need?
Chair Buss, I would guess that that is the case, but I will defer to Jake on that question.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. I can confirm that. The city engineering department, we've worked with a contractor to kind of clean and identify if there's any breaks in that line. Also, the existing conduit or the existing conductors will be removed. So removing the existing and installing new, we've confirmed that there's enough space and that there is a clear path to get that new conductor up the hill through the junction boxes.
All right, thank you.
This is Eric Bonds from the municipal utilities here. I just wanted to add some context, some purpose for this. TPHMs are trihalomethanes in the city's water. It's a byproduct of using chlorine as a disinfectant. Maybe 10 years ago or so, these weren't as high on the list for the EPA to regulate, but in more recent times, it's become more and more prevalent as a water constituent that we have to address. And so, back in 2017 or so, when this, when the pilot program began on these, on these tanks with this TPHM mitigation measure, it was we basically put in the largest aerator and the blower in the tanks that we could fit with the amount of power that we could that was existing. Since then, we've seen about a maybe 10 to 15% reduction in trihalomethanes, and this is very good news for us. With the addition of these larger systems and the additional power, we tend to basically double that removal rate, and it's near this the most amount of users. Just has the most amount of effect that we can have for our system, and the intention is to install these prior to summer, which is basically the highest TTHM generation rate that we see. So that's just to speak to the to the importance of it and to the time frame. The idea is to install these prior to summertime, which is the highest TPHM time frame that we typically see. So yeah, so we apologize for not getting this on bringing this to John's attention more quickly, and being able to be on this the agenda here. But there's it's for a good cause here, so thank you, everyone.
All right, thanks, Eric. Did anyone else have any questions?
The Chair Buss, I do want to note it looks as if there is a contribution to the chat box made by Conditioner Nucci.
Okay.
Should we read that out for the record?
Chair Buss, I believe that would be helpful. particularly for the purpose of the minutes, yes.
I'll be happy to take that on. This is Commissioner Ball. Per Joe Nucci, he moves for conditional approval of a certificate of appropriateness for proposed alterations to the Tempe Hayden Butte for total trihalo methane removal systems upgrade, Tempe Butte East and West reservoirs, in accordance with the 6 conditions stipulated in the staff summary.
Thanks, Commissioner Ball. Like to second that motion?
This is Commissioner Larson. I'll second it.
All right, thanks, Commissioner Larson. Let's see who's in favor here. Commissioner Ball?
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Garrity is recusing himself, so we'll move to Commissioner Garrison.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Gilbert?
Aye.
Commissioner Larson?
Aye.
Commissioner Montes?
Aye.
Thank you.
With just the suggestion that consultation with John and tribes occur in the future before bringing it to the commission for approval. But aye.
All right, thank you. And Commissioner Nucci has already said aye by way of making a motion, and I will say aye myself. I suppose for the record, now that I think about it, I should include myself as an aye on the meeting minutes, as I never did say that. All right, so it looks like we have unanimous approval on that item. And I guess we will move on to agenda item number 4, an update on progress and priorities of the Historic Preservation Plan.
Thank you, Chair Buss. I see we're still on Jake's screen. Thank you, Jake, and the project team for your presentation, and I look forward to working with you. I will share my screen here. I have a quick overview of the HP plan update. I don't know if everyone can everyone see my screen now?
I do not see it.
Oh, yes.
It's there now.
Yes, okay. Things seem to be running just a bit slowly for me. And I see Eric Bond says thank you. Thank you, Eric. And I'm trying to get to slideshow mode here. It's taking some time. There we go. So agenda item 4, discuss and consider historic preservation plan update progress and priorities. And we were very fortunate to obtain funding for an historic preservation plan update and a survey and inventory of citywide properties from 1961 to 1965. That was supplemented by funds for a survey and inventory of pre-1961 properties in what was to be the urban core in association with the urban core master plan. Archaeological Consulting Services, ACS, was selected to carry out the work, as is the case with many things that were to be completed or largely completed in 2020. The pandemic and concerns relating to public gatherings, the inability to access repositories for research, et cetera, has led to a significant delay, but we are now at a point where the survey and inventory, compilation of context, et cetera, is essentially complete, and we're now looking forward toward the development of an historic preservation plan update. So as mentioned, there are 3 tasks associated with this project: the inventory of pre-1961 properties within what was the urban core. And the value here is not only having a record, but having eligibility determinations that could be used as proposed projects arrive or are submitted rather, so we don't have to go through and rush to attempt to make an eligibility determination. We also have a survey and inventory of properties throughout the city constructed between 1961 and 1975 inclusive. This will catch us up as relates to the 50-year period of eligibility through 2025. It is hoped that subsequent survey and inventories will be completed regularly so that we always have this information available. Again, this is by and large complete, and the information will be brought to the HPC and to others in the very near future here for discussion. The sections of the preservation plan, the update, this is really the meat and potatoes as relates to the commission, and something that we wanted to get you involved with early, again, as the pandemic caused such significant delays. We're now here something like a year after the project officially began, but we're essentially kicking off this stage of it now. And so the preservation plan review and update, they're going to look at the regulatory context of preservation, a summary of our prehistoric and historic context by which we evaluate significance, etc. It is going to incorporate tribal perspectives. ACS has brought on Andy Darling of, I believe it's Southwest Heritage Research, to assist with that portion of it. There's going to be a section on the preservation program itself, operations, things relating to the ordinance, processes, etc. And then, of course, planning considerations, how preservation, cultural resources management can be more completely integrated into the operations of other divisions and departments within the city. That is an overview, but what I really would like to get from everyone, and it may be tonight, it may be at subsequent meetings, we will certainly be discussing this many times, I'm sure, over the coming months, but I'd like to get an idea from the commission of what priorities the members view as important, what aspects or what plan components would you like to see considered, what, if anything, is missing from what has been discussed. We hope to have our first public meeting. It will almost certainly be virtual toward the end of March. So we figure by bringing this in January and February and March to the commission for discussion, consideration, et cetera, we could get a very good framework for what it is that we'll be discussing at the initial public meeting at the end of March. So with that, Chair Buss, I'd like to open the floor to the commissioners and hear from them as to what priorities they have and what they would like to see included in the plan.
Thanks, John. So what are some thoughts on this from everyone?
If I may?
Yes.
I wonder if specific to points 4 and 5 on the historic preservation plan, I think I would very much like to gain perspective from ACS on best practices in terms of balancing the needs for preservation and new construction in proximity, and how we might better advise council on incorporating practices to help provide value to historic properties in order to offset the ever-present pressure of development in some of our core areas. we had one example we were considering in the urban core master plan regarding selling off air rights, if you will, from historic properties in order to try to give a valuable tool to those building owners to maintain their properties in the face of pressure. And I think there were a number of other comments we discussed along with urban core master plan on new development and its effect on neighboring or neighborhoods in immediate proximity. So those two items, I think, are things we will be talking about for the next, well, foreseeable future. So that's a priority from my perspective.
Good point, Commissioner Ball, with in light of all the development that's going on in downtown Tempe. Anyone else?
Absolutely, Chair Buss, Vice Chair Ball, thank you.
I have a question. So as part of your preservation program, will you be talking about things like citywide treatment plan? And I think you have a project in process with a monitoring plan. Is that right? I'm just wondering if that's in the... Sorry.
Chair Buss, Commissioner Montero. We are incorporating the tribal perspective in the overall preservation plan. The focus on the preservation plan will be the built environment primarily, but we understand that just because we're looking at the built environment primarily, that there are certainly considerations that need to be taken into account. We want this to be very inclusive. We understand that the built environment can have a significant impact on subsurface features and resources and landmarks or landforms rather, and above ground cultural resources. So we do believe it to be very important to include that component, but as you had mentioned, we are also, and this is a Logan Simpson project, underway with a cultural resources inventory to include ethnographic work, again, to be completed by Andy Darling, and a blanket monitoring, discovery, and treatment plan for archaeological resources. So we are addressing that as well. So that said, we did recognize the fact that just because many of our policies in the preservation plan will relate to the built environment, that does not exclude the need for bringing in the tribal perspective.
Okay, but yeah, so you're already working on the citywide monitoring plan and treatment plan. And so that's really the thing that I was asking about. And I assume that will include some kind of a process for, you know, archaeology review.
Yes, Chair Buss, Commissioner Montero, I suspect that will be the case. And in addition to just the blanket plan, Logan Simpson is tasked with compiling a cultural resource inventory, and there is an ethnographic component to that as well, so we could ideally better understand the significance of some of the resources that are present in Tempe. There's going to have a very robust tribal component to it, and is something that I suspect in the very near future we'll have to talk with Commissioner Garrity and his colleagues at Logan Simpson, but I suspect that will be introduced to the commission, the project itself, and its direction, and seeking input from the commission. That will be done likely at a meeting in the very near future, perhaps next month. I'm not exactly sure, but that is also something that the commission will be intimately involved with.
Okay, thank you. It sounds like you're very well covered. Thanks.
Chair Buss, Commissioner Montero, we were very fortunate to obtain the funding, and certainly Alex Smith deserves a lot of credit for his assistance and support.
Well, and on that note, I wouldn't want to take credit for that all on my own. You know, we had a lot of the city leadership and council behind us. So John and I continue to appreciate their support.
It's fantastic. Good work.
One other item occurred to me, folks. This is Commissioner Ball. In the time that I've been on the commission, I haven't had a chance to see representation or a presentation or perhaps cultural sensitivity training with our neighbors from the 4 tribes. It might be wise, and of course, part of that is just my background as an architect. I know we have archaeologists and historians in our mix. That might be something that we could do some benchmarking with ACS on what other cities and commissions that are in a like circumstance to us, where we have neighbors with differing traditions, might be worthwhile to incorporate into the regular onboarding of commissioners to make that a part of the process.
Chair Ball, Vice Chair, or Chair Buss, whether Vice Chair Ball, I think that's a fantastic idea. We could certainly look at the onboarding process for commissioners, and you know, you had mentioned cultural sensitivity training. If that's something that would be of interest to the commission, I suspect many of the members have attended the courses, but if it's something that the commission as a whole would be interested in, or if it's something that individual commissioners would like to complete, I'd be happy to look into that and make the necessary arrangements there. But I think your suggestion is very valuable. I appreciate it.
Great. I won't volunteer every commissioner, but I'll put my name on the list.
Okay.
This is Commissioner Garrison. I think this is a good outline that we have. The proof of the pudding is in the details, and I think 4 and 5 are going to need to be expanded a little bit so we know what's happening under those, to know for sure everything is covered.
Chair Buss, Commissioner Garrison, I agree, and we're so very fortunate to have folks like Commissioner Garrison, who I'm sure has seen plans from across the state and been involved in the creation of those plans. So that is something that we will do with the commission. We'll work through, and we will build those items out and ensure that we cover what it is that we need to cover.
It's good.
Anyone else have any thoughts on this? All right. I think I'd have to agree with the comments I've heard so far. It is a pretty good outline, John.
Chair Buss, thank you. And this is a discussion topic that the commission will become very, very familiar with over the coming months. So I look forward to working with all of you to develop this and get it to council and get it approved and put it to work.
All right, great. All right, let's move on to agenda item number 5, chair and staff updates.
Thank you, Chair Buss. I have just a few things, one of which is very exciting. Tomorrow night, the Tempe City Council will be considering a resolution that will memorialize a land acknowledgement. We've worked with our partners in Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian community to craft a land acknowledgement statement that will be read at city events and draft the associated resolution. So again, this will be up for council consideration tomorrow. It's agenda item 5C8, and I will send the council agenda to all the members so that everyone can read the resolution itself and the statement and have the information should they wish to sign in and attend the meeting virtually. We hope we hope to begin work on the Gonzales Martinez house soon, the emergency stabilization work. There have been some delays in executing the contract, but we believe we have that issue worked out now. So you may well see Reggie McKay of Adobe Technology out there in the very near future making Adobe blocks. The Tempe Depot project that the commission weighed in on will be heard by council tomorrow night. It is the second public hearing for both the PAD and the development agreement. At this point, the Tempe Historic Preservation Commission has provided council a letter of support for the project, as has the Tempe Historic Preservation Foundation. So that will be another item of interest for the commission at tomorrow's council meeting. Finally, it appears that we are close to having a final version of our streetcar history sign. As the commission will recall, there will be a number of Tempe history signs erected along the streetcar route. In working with the streetcar team, we secured the Mill Avenue and Rio Salado location, the southeast corner of the intersection, for a sign that will address the Butte and its significance to the four southern tribes. That is a sign that has been drafted by Andy Darling and will actually be presented to the four southern tribes for consideration at the four southern tribes meeting this Friday at 9 a.m. So that is something, and we will speak with Andy after we take it to the four southern tribes. I'd like to think that that will be on the February agenda so that we could share that with the commission.
All right, thanks, John. And moving on to agenda item number 6. Do we have any member or staff announcements?
Well, Chair Buss says in terms of staff announcements, Chad Weaver, the former director of the Community Development Department, has stepped down from that role. There is an interim director, Shelley Seiler. I'm not sure if Shelley is on, but Shelley is City of Tempe employee in the Engineering and Transportation Department. She will be the interim director of the Community Development Department.
Okay, thanks, John. Any member announcements?
This is Jared Smith. I've got a couple announcements from the museum whenever that would be handy.
Yep, go right ahead.
Okay, thank you. All right, I want to thank everyone for the opportunity to be here tonight. I'm filling in for Brenda Abney, director at Tempe History Museum, and I'm the curator of history. It's been a little while since I've been to the HP meetings, and the room looks a little bit different on this occasion than when I was downtown before. What I want to, Brenda asked me to talk a little bit about what's happening with regards to the sesquicentennial anniversary coming up. Or I guess you know, we've started our sesquicentennial year already as 150th anniversary for Tempe. And the Tempe Historical Museum, or Tempe History Museum, is partnering with the Tempe History Society to kick off 2021 as Tempe's sesquicentennial, or 150-year anniversary of our pioneer founding for the city. This year, we will be doing our best to get information widely distributed within Tempe so residents can learn more about our history and heritage. This communication campaign will be through social media and websites at minimum. In addition, the museum is producing 3 exhibits a featured exhibit in our main gallery, a perspectives exhibit from various community members in the community room of the museum, and a pop-up exhibit that can be placed in public places throughout during the year. In addition, we have a date for the festival. It's possible, if it's possible, that all that will go forward with everything going on health-wise these days. And that will be scheduled for Sunday, November 7th at Tempe Town Lake. So mark your calendars for that. We will share more information as it becomes available. Also, please check out our tempehistory.org/shop for custom products related to the Tempe 150th anniversary, and keep an eye on the city's webpage for the Tempe 150 site to find out what's happening all year long. And that's the update for the museum for right now. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Jared. Yes, I hope by November things are back to normal.
Indeed.
All right, was there anyone else? No? All right, then I guess we will call this meeting adjourned, and the time is 6:57. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming.
Thank you, everyone.